system has been infected by politics. Amy Berman Jackson is living proof that it has been. She's an open partisan who has so flagrantly violated the bounds of constitutional law and fairness that it's shocking she's still on the bench. If there's anyone in Washington who deserves to be impeached, it's Amy Berman Jackson. During the Mueller investigation, she placed both Rick Gates and Paul Manafort under house arrest pending their trials. Both are middle-aged men with no criminal history. Neither was a flight risk. Meanwhile, at this very moment, tonight, countless violent predators in New York and California walk free without even posting bail. But Jackson wanted to punish Gates and Manafort before they'd even been convicted of anything. And she did. Ultimately, she revoked Manafort's bail and placed him in jail in solitary confinement. But Jackson has reserved her real fury for Roger Stone. At sentencing today, she declared that Stone, quote, was prosecuted for covering up for the president, end quote. Now, CNN let the claim pass without comment, but anyone who'd been watching was baffled because that's totally untrue. Nobody connected to the president has ever been charged with a crime related to spying for Russia or colluding with Russia, much less convicted of one. Stone wasn't prosecuted for covering up anything. That was not the charge. That is not what he was sentenced for. Amy Jackson knows that. She lied about it. In other words, here you have a federal judge lying about the case before her. Scary? Yes, it is scary. Roger Stone's entire journey into Kafka, partisan prosecutors, partisan jury foreman, partisan judge, could not have been more fraudulent or dishonest. It's hard to believe it happened in America, or that a ruling class is applauding it, and they are. That ought to worry everyone who cares about equal justice, on both sides. If they can do this to Roger Stone and win accolades from CNN as they do, they can certainly do it to you. Maybe someday they will. Stone hasn't reported to prison yet. He'd be on the show right now to respond, but he can no longer speak in public. Amy Berman Jackson has revoked his First Amendment rights. The entire Democratic Party and their servants in the press can defame Stone at will, and they are, relentlessly. But if Stone dares to express his own opinion, Amy Berman Jackson will send him to jail immediately. She said that. She's banned him from speaking publicly about the case in any way. He can't tweet or write on Facebook, no social media. He can't do television. He can't speak to reporters. He cannot even express himself indirectly. If Roger Stone asked a friend or a family member to deliver a statement on his behalf, he would be violating Judge Jackson's order. Notice we won't say violating the law because it's not the law. No judge can abolish the freedom of speech. It is inherent. Instead, what you're watching is the capricious authoritarianism of a Democratic activist wearing robes. It's terrifying, and it's being done purely for political ends. Already today, CNN has made a graphic explaining how Roger Stone's prison sentence proves the president is a criminal. You could have predicted that would happen. In fact, we did predict it. Enough. This farce must end. Apparently, there are people around the president telling him not to pardon Roger Stone or to wait until after the election. No. The president must pardon Stone immediately. Trump's voters know that at some point they could be where Roger Stone is right now. This is a horrifying precedent for everyone, and it cannot be allowed to stand. Michael Caputo is a former Trump campaign advisor. We're happy to talk to him tonight. Michael, thanks for coming on. Let me just sum it up for you. Do you think, and sincere question, there's any chance Roger Stone would be facing prison 40 months if he hadn't supported Donald Trump?
No. In fact, if Roger Stone were a Democrat, he would be lauded just like McCabe and the others are out there. I mean, in fact, as you know, Tucker, the Washington district it's toxic. It's demonstrably unfair to Republicans. If Roger Stone does get a retrial, which he should, considering the malice and you know, the lies that were told by that juror, he should, you know, A.G. Barr should have it outside of Washington, D.C. There's no chance he gets a fair trial in D.C. Give him a fighting chance. Have the trial outside of D.C. But let me tell you something, Tucker. Tamika Hart, that juror who was a lieutenant in the resistance who managed to make herself the foreperson, it's reported by people who were in the trial today that she was outside the building at the Prettyman courthouse today trying to figure out whether she wanted to go in or not. She was cited out there, and when people recognized her, she ran off. This is a toxic place, Washington, D.C. There's not one chance any of us would ever get a fair shot. Not you, Tucker, not me. And that's why we're asking people to sign the petition at freerogerstone.com and ask for a pardon.